He won't come inside. This morning is a Parmesan egg omelet, a couple of sausage links, and coffee. I can't remember if I had oatmeal or eggs yesterday, so I opted for eggs. So before I start my chicken dish, I'm having game night at my house next weekend, so I'm gonna put the lights out, even though it's not really sunny, and make sure they work. There's 4 of them. I don't know how bright they're going to be. Little sticks that come with them. Do not use a hammer on the plastic light. Okay. There's 2 different types. Okay. There's this one and there's this one. Now it makes sense. And then you stick it up in the base. Doesn't have a cover on it. Turn it on. How do you turn it on? So when you get to a certain age, it's hard to see. It's hard to see small writing, so I assume that's on. I don't know, it doesn't stay. It's like rubbery. That's weird. Okay. So I'm going to put all these together, and then I'm going to go out and put them in the front yard. So this dish that I'm gonna make, my mom used to make it, and it was my favorite. I don't make it very often because every time I do, it's so much food and it doesn't freeze that well. You have to re-thicken it because it has cornstarch in it to give it a little bit of a thick consistency to it, and then when you thaw it out, it gets runnier. So this is by memory because I did write it down years ago in a recipe book, like a handwritten recipe book I have, but I can't find that book. I don't know where it is. I'm hoping it's still somewhere in the house. Either that or I gave it to my daughter when I was cleaning out one time. I don't know. So I'm just doing it from memory. First thing I think I need to do is to bag up the celery that I froze last night. I'm just gonna thaw it out. I'm just gonna wash my hands and put it into Ziploc bags real quick. I just filled up one. quart-size bag. So this is what I remember as being in it. Chicken, which I haven't pulled off the bone yet. The chicken broth that is in the fridge still. A can of whole tomatoes, which I think I'm going to try and make half a recipe. Some chicken bouillon, celery seed, black pepper, salt, onion, cornstarch, carrots, mushrooms, and Napa cabbage. So I don't know where to start from first. So it's not really a stir fry type dish. You don't saute the onions or mushrooms or anything before. It's kind of like boiled together. So yeah, I don't know where to start. I think I'm going to it's been a long time since I've made this, as you can tell, because my kids didn't really care for it. I like it, but if I make it, I'm more prone to make a giant batch of it and then it doesn't get eaten. So my exchange students, I did make it for a few of them, but once again, they weren't thrilled with it either. So you may not like it either if you try it. I like it. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna use a smaller pot just to force myself not to make a giant batch. So I've decided to go with this one. It's not as deep as the one I boiled the chicken in. So I think I'm going to start, well, I started making some rice, and I'm going to filter out the chicken broth that was left over from boiling the chicken yesterday, and put it in here and start cooking it. And then I'll start cutting up the carrots and other vegetables depending on how quick they need to be, depending on the length of time they need to be cooked. So like the carrots I'll do first because they're gonna need more time to cook. So here's most of the chicken broth. The rest of it's in the fridge, and I'm gonna skim off the fat that floated to the top first. I'm just going to put it on this tray. That way I can just fold up the parchment paper and toss it. I have a sieve. You don't really have to do this, it just makes the broth look nicer, really. Okay. So I think I'm going to try and just make this much, even though there's more broth. I don't know. Let me see how much broth. This is full too. It's not very much, so I think I'm going to use it all. I still don't think it's as much as I normally make. I'll just add 4 to begin with, and then I'll try it and see how it tastes after it's all dissolved in there. I'm gonna put it on the stove and start boiling it. So I'm just guessing. Carrots are ready to go in. Onions are ready. So I've got all the mushrooms ready to go. I'm gonna just put the really small ones in there. They're all really small. It was a weird box of mushrooms. I think I'm going to saute the rest of these mushrooms with some onions for breakfast. Maybe some of my, yeah, I still have some bell peppers I need to use, so I might just do that. Saute these up with onions and bell peppers from the freezer to make omelets in the morning, day after tomorrow. Comes the napa cabbage. Might be all gone. A little bit of salt. Try the broth. I'm just going to put one more bouillon cube in here. I should have coordinated this a lot better because I still have this huge thing of, has your grandma gone crazy? She talking to herself? Dinky's over there looking at me like I've lost my mind. Poor guy. Yeah, grandma is crazy. Okay. See, now I have all this napa cabbage. I think I can freeze it, and then I'll make some lumpia with it later. I have everything except the lumpia wrappers. I could make it, but that's the only thing I'm missing is the wrappers. Check these carrots. Oh, the carrots are cooked. Okay. Put mostly dark meat in here because I prefer it. And I haven't decided how much of these I'm going to put in. Normally I would put the whole can in. I basically made a giant thing of it anyway. Oh, okay. I think I'm going to freeze the rest. And the last part is the cornstarch. I put about 1/4 of a cup in cold water. Mixed it really good. Hopefully there's no lumps. So this is what it looks like done. It is slightly thickened. I don't know if you can tell. So I added more chicken and more cornstarch to the pot. I'm gonna try a bite here. So it's basically a chicken stew eaten over rice. My mom just called it chicken and rice. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt. Since I have that big thing of Chinese cabbage and the carrots need to be eaten, and I still have green beans in the freezer from my garden last year, I think I'm going to just make up a mixture of lumpia, the inside mixture, and freeze it until I can get to an Asian store and get some lumpia wrappers. That way the cabbage doesn't go to waste, because it was $4 for that head of cabbage. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to thaw out another pound of ground beef. So I did end up making too much. I put some of it into a container to freeze. It's cooling off, finishing cooling off in the fridge right now. But yeah, I overdid it again. I did add I took the tomatoes out of the freezer and added it also because it didn't seem like for the amount that there was enough tomatoes. So now I'm trying to figure out where to put the rest of this stuff. I think I'm going to wash up the tomato container that I stuck in the freezer and try and scrounge up some more containers to put this in, because the pot is still almost full, even though I took that one big container out. So everything's in the fridge. I'm just gonna saute up the mushrooms and onions and the bell peppers from the freezer, which are in the microwave thawing out right now. What a mess. The kitchen's a mess. And I've realized, trying to clean up, that I don't have a lot of kitchen square dish rags to wipe things up with. They've all disintegrated, became rags, or yeah, I think I have 3, and one of them is in shreds. So I think I'm gonna go, after I saute these vegetables up, I'm going to go in search of a pack of dish towels. I can't even remember the last time I bought any. I tried to go to bed early last night, but then I started watching some YouTube videos. I was watching, well, different ones, but the last one that lasted a long time was, well, there was 2. There was one that was over an hour long from Mysterious WV, West Virginia. I like his, their true crime stories, and he delves deep into people missing cases and murders and a lot of just mysterious disappearances. In fact, one of the ones that they did, they actually found the woman, found out what happened to her. She disappeared. I don't remember how she disappeared, but she disappeared, and they found her. They found out who she was years later. She had just left and started a whole new life. It was really interesting. Anyway, I got into watching that one. It was like an hour and 17 minutes long. And then I started watching this one about a shipwreck. I don't remember the channel, but I love those stories of old shipwrecks. This one, oh, I can't remember the name of it. The Octavius. It's a ghost ship. Was a ghost ship. So it sailed from England to China in 1762. It dropped off a shipload of stuff, and then it left to go back to England, and it wasn't seen again until 13 years later. So the captain had his wife and young child with them, and then of course the crew. And he decided, because it was unseasonably warm, the Arctic Ocean, and that was a big mistake because the weather turned and they got frozen in the ice and weren't able to break it loose. So the whole crew, his family and himself, died of hypothermia. And 13 years later, another ship that I didn't write down, I wrote down. I made notes because I thought it was interesting. 13 years later, in 1775, another ship found them drifting kind of close to Alaska. So I guess the ice melted because the ship was going around Greenland, and then it ended up floating around until it was outside of Alaska, which was creepy. And of course, the crew of that ship boarded the other one, the Octavius, and all they found were bodies, frozen bodies that hadn't decomposed much because it was so cold. And the captain was still sitting at his desk with his ship's log in front of him, and they got freaked out, of course. They took the log, went back on their ship and left, and nobody saw the Octavius again. And I did a Google search of it too, just to make sure it wasn't just somebody making something up. Apparently this actually happened. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And of course I stayed up till about 3 in the morning watching these videos. And yeah, so I don't know why I like those shipwreck stories, and they terrify me, and they also intrigue me. So I wonder if somewhere I was in another life, died on a ship like that went down, because I'm terrified of deep dark water. I love to swim. I love to swim in swimming pools that I can see the bottom of. The pools that some people are making in the last few years, where it's not that greenish blue color or the really light blue. It's a darker blue where you can't see the bottom. That just freaks me out. I don't like those at all. I don't like swimming in the ocean, not only because of the waves hitting me in the face, but because I don't know what's down there. I have swum in the ocean. I swam with sea turtles in the green turtles in Hilo Bay. I have a story. So I think I mentioned that in another video a while back, that I had gone to see a friend of mine in Hawaii. She was a nursing student with me when I was going through nursing school, and we became friends, and she ended up moving to Hilo, and so she invited me to come visit. And so one year I went, was it 2010, I think, and it was a really cheap, except for the flight, it was really dirt cheap because I just stayed in her house. So she was still working some days, but sometimes she would take off and we would do things. And one of the things we did was she took me swimming in Hilo Bay. Terrifying, because the water, of course, comes in from the ocean where there are sharks and who knows what else. But we swam with the sea turtles, and that was, you're not allowed to touch them or anything, which we didn't. We just swam around with them. It was so awesome, and you can see them on a bridge that goes out onto Hilo Bay. You can walk the bridge and look down and see them too, swimming around. But we were swimming with them that one day, and then another day she took me to this old sugar plantation or dock where I guess there was where they used to have sugar cane, and the ships would come, and there was a hot spring there, and the dock is pretty much gone. It's just a little bit of concrete you can see, and of course the ocean water comes in, and there's heat vents from the volcanic action of the island, and so you can sit in there and swim around in this warmed water, ocean water. Well, we did that for like an hour or two. I don't remember how long we were sitting in the hot spring, looking out at the ocean, thinking what's coming, because there was a little narrow passage through the dock area where the ocean water could come in, and sharks and other things. So I don't like water I can't see down, and I could not see. You could not see 2 inches down into the water. So we were there, and we get out and we start walking back to the car, and I turned around to look, and there was this sign. It said, "Swim at your own risk." It said there were eels, big, not little eels, it's giant eels that can bite you. We're in the hot springs. And I said, did you know about these? And she said, yeah, but I knew you wouldn't get in the water if you knew about them. Like, thanks a lot. I have really good friends. I'm kidding, but yeah. So I have another story. She's not the only one of my friends who's done that to me. So it reminds me also of back when I was a teenager. I went to go visit a friend of mine in Virginia. She lived down in Norfolk, and her parents had a little camper down in North Carolina. I think it was North Carolina, on a sound. And her and her friends used to go all the time and go camping in this camper. Hey, I don't call that camping myself, because it had running water and bathrooms and everything. Camping to me is a tent. So anyway, we went camping and swimming in the Sound. And my friend, it was the very first time I ever got on an airplane. And I'm terrified of flying also, along with deep, dark water. And so we're swimming, her friends and I were swimming, and she kept getting out of the water after just a few minutes. And we were there for like 3 days, and I said, why do you keep getting out? How come you're not swimming? I think this was the last day we were there, and she told us because there's water moccasins in the water. And I'm like, and you didn't think to tell us? Okay, it's just, yeah. Okay, so that story reminded me of something else, and then I forgot it. I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, and so yeah, sorry, I'm checking on my mushrooms, onions, and bell peppers. I keep turning them. Another friend of mine took me to Pyramid Lake when our kids were very small. We went to visit them. I was still married at the time, and I think my daughter was like 2 years old or something, and my son would have been 6. And there's a sandbar that goes out into the lake. And Pyramid Lake is a desert lake. I don't remember how deep it is, but it's really deep. I don't think it's as deep as Lake Tahoe, but it's deep. And people disappear there all the time. They go boating, and they don't sometimes find the bodies. People go out there and get drunk and party on the lake, and then accidents happen too. So anyway, we went out there to spend the day with the little kids, and I just freaked out because when you go out on this it was a little jutting into the lake, and when you jump in, you're already in super deep water, and you can't see anything. You can't see 2 inches deep. So I was in there swimming a little bit, but I did not stay in that water. It just creeped me out, especially since so I've known my friend. She's a Paiute Indian. I've known her since grade school, like 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade. And she used to tell me about these Indian legends and stuff, like the water babies. Yeah, it's a really creepy story. It's just creepy. I'm not going to tell you this story. You can look it up. But yeah, so I'm thinking about the water baby story, and who knows what's floating around in that lake. And then yeah, I just remembered another story. These people around me have it in for me. So yeah, so I didn't stay in the lake very long. I did stay right by there because my kids were in the water with the other adults, but still, I did not want them too far away where I couldn't jump in. So I think my ex their father was holding on to my daughter. I don't remember specifically, but no kids were in danger. So my next story, and I'm pretty sure this is why I have a fear of deep, dark water, because I don't remember having that until this incident when I was 9 or 10 years old, my parents used to take us out to Lake Lahontan, which is outside of Fallon in northern Nevada, and we would go camping because my dad was in the Navy, and a group of the naval base, I guess the people he worked with would all get together and they would go en masse and go camping all at the same time and rent a party boat, and yeah, everybody, and we tent camped, or if you had a camper, one of my friends, her family would go sometimes too, and they had a truck with a camper shell on the back. So, and they would stay in that. And yeah, so one day we had caught some fish, and my mom was cleaning the fish, and of course she cleaned it off in the lake, and chopping the heads off, and she would just leave the stuff in the water, and I guess they floated further into the lake, and I didn't think about this, but my oldest brother, I have 2 brothers, they're both older than me, but the oldest one was telling me, because he's not a nice person, he told me that some guy got ground up in the dam that was on the lake, and his body was floating around in there. So you can imagine what happened. Yeah, so I'm going out in the water, and I feel something on my foot. So I stupidly reach down, pick up a fish head, and of course all I see is this fish head. I screamed and threw it, and I'm pretty sure that's why I'm afraid of deep dark water. Either that, or I was reincarnated from somebody who died in a shipwreck. I don't know which. Yeah. So, thinking about, I only thought about the one story last night, and I thought about telling you about it, and then it reminded me of the other stories. I hope you don't mind my stories. I know some young people don't like these old people telling their stories when they were little or when they were younger. But I think most of, I think like over half, like 80 or 90% of the people who watch my channel are older, like over 50, so I might be safe. But I also thought about my other fears, and I'm not going to talk about those because then this video would go on forever. I have a fear of heights, and I have stories about that I'll talk about later. I also have a fear of flying. So I've done things that put me in those positions because I love to travel, and I like doing other things, and then sometimes things happen where you feel obligated to do things that you don't really want to do. So I might talk about those in my next video. I think I'm going to wait till the sun goes down. I think this is all I'm going to put on this video, except for the lights, the outside lights. I will wait till the sun goes down and see if they turn on or not. At least one came on, like lit up when I was messing with them, taking them outside. So hopefully they all work and they've all got enough. The sun came out again, so hopefully they're getting enough solar power that they'll light up tonight. So I made up this bowl of stuff to make potato croquettes. And I don't feel like frying them up. It's almost 8 o'clock at night. So I think I'm just gonna freeze this up in a big Ziploc bag and make it a week or two down the line. Well, the lights work. Unfortunately, they don't work very well. They don't light up the sidewalk, which is what they're for. So I think I'm going to look for something that's raised up and add it, like another set of 4, but that are higher up, kind of like the ones I had before. I'm gonna edit this video and see if I can get it out tonight. So I know people like do a video, a lot of YouTube people, and then they don't edit it for days sometimes. And I can't seem to do that. It's like it's there and I feel like I have to do it before I go to sleep. I don't know why. It's like it's left unfinished and I can't just go to bed. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Bye.